My husband's new wife locked my daughter in the basement during Thanksgiving dinner while everyone celebrated upstairs. I kicked her out 30 minutes later. This is a powerful, emotionally charged premise with high potential for viral resonance, especially with a 60-plus audience on YouTube in the US. Would you like me to break this into a Donnie D. Tay 9-chapter outline, analyze it for emotional and structural beats, or start writing chapter 1 in full? Let me know your next command. I got to the restaurant 10 minutes early. That's always been my way. Show up early, avoid the chaos. I stood by the entrance, watching couples walk in hand, families in coordinated outfits taking selfies under the soft lighting. It was the first evening of our family vacation, and dinner had been planned for everyone at the resort's main dining room. My mother had texted just an hour ago. "Dinner at 6 sharp. Don't be late, Cassie." No exclamation point, just a directive. I followed it like I always did. When I gave the hostess our last name, Sloan, she nodded and gestured toward the private dining section. "They're already seated," she said with a smile that felt too kind for what I walked into. The table was full. Everyone was there. Celeste, of course, in the middle of the action, with her friend Amanda seated beside our mother. Judah on the other end, trying to make the kids laugh. The seats were all taken, not a single one left empty, no saved spot. "No. Hey, Cassie, over here!" They were already halfway into their drinks. My mother looked up and blinked like she'd just remembered me. "Oh, Cassie, you made it. We didn't think you'd come on time." I just stood there. I didn't move toward them. I scanned the table like maybe I had missed something. A chair tucked away, a place setting, anything. But there wasn't. I asked the waiter, voice low, "Is there another table nearby?" Before he could respond, my father waved lazily toward the far side. "We'll add a seat for you. Don't fuss." They grabbed a chair from a nearby table and wedged it at the very end, near the wall, half blocked by a potted plant. I had to squeeze past someone's stroller just to sit down. No one shifted to make room. No one offered their seat or even scooted over. Celeste raised her glass. "You always get the quiet corner, huh?" The table laughed, like it was a running joke I had agreed to be part of. I smiled. But inside, I noted it. No one stood up to say it wasn't right. Not one. Dinner moved on. Conversations flowed. Work talk, school stories, some retelling of a spa mishap earlier that day that had the whole group cackling. I didn't say much. Just observed. That's the safest thing you can do when no one's looking to hear from you. The waiter came over with a bottle of wine, one I recognized. I'd ordered it a month ago when I was booking the resort package online. I remembered carefully selecting it because it was my mom's favorite label from Oregon. I remembered entering my credit card info. I remembered double-checking it was included. He uncorked it in front of Celeste. She smiled at the table. "A treat from me," she announced. My name wasn't mentioned. I didn't say a word. Just watched as my contribution slid effortlessly into someone else's hands, and how easily that was accepted. No questions asked. That's what happens in families like mine. Hierarchy doesn't need permission, it just is. The kids bounced between laps. Judah's daughter threw a fry at her cousin, and they all giggled. Millie, Celeste's daughter, reached for her mom's necklace. I was invisible in that chaos. Not ignored, just irrelevant. When the check came, I leaned slightly to glance at it. Habit, really, not expectation. Celeste's name was printed at the top. I turned to the waiter. "Actually, I booked the dinner package," I said, voice measured. He blinked. "I'm so sorry, ma'am. The system only allows the guest listed on the master room to sign. It's just a billing thing." Celeste winked. "I'll sign it. You don't mind, right?" My stomach nodded, but I smiled. "Go ahead." In my head, the words echoed louder than any toast that night. I paid for it. I wasn't invited to sit. I'm not allowed to claim it. Afterward, I didn't linger. I walked back alone, sandals brushing against the resort path. The breeze was soft, the lights warm, but I felt nothing. A framed sign near the garden read, "Make memories that last a lifetime." I stared at it for a while. Memories don't need to be beautiful to last. They just need to leave a scar. Back in my room, I kicked off my shoes and sat on the edge of the bed. I opened the Notes app on my phone. Typed slowly. "Dinner. $220. Memory, priceless. Visibility, 0%. Then I just sat there, watching the cursor blink, realizing this wasn't a one-time thing. This was the pattern. And for the first time in a long time, I felt something inside me pull away. A quiet withdrawing of love, not a dramatic exit, just a closing of the door. By the next morning, I'd already stopped expecting fairness, but I still didn't expect a plain white shirt. The family was gathering near the resort rec center for what my mother called Family Bonding Day. That kind of name always sounded like it was made for brochures, not people. I'd gone for a long walk that morning, down along the waterline, past where the sand turned rocky, where the noise of kids and pool parties faded. It helped, until I walked into that room. A staff member with a clipboard stood beside a table stacked with folded shirts, calling out names as people arrived. Judah, Celeste, Amanda, Millie. Each name earned smiles and photo ops. I waited for mine. It didn't come. I walked up to the table. "Hi, I think there's one for Cassie." The girl blinked, scanned the list, reached down into a bottom bin like she knew where she was going. "This one says baby. Guess this is yours?" She handed me a shirt, stiff white cotton with pastel embroidery across the chest. Not Cassie, not even a nickname I ever used. Just one word. Baby. Celeste caught sight of it and smiled like it was endearing. "You're the baby of the family. It's cute." Judah chimed in, already chuckling. "Honestly, we forgot to put your name in the form, but this works, right?" My mother, sipping her iced coffee nearby, barely looked up. "It's a sweet nickname. Don't make it a big deal, honey." I didn't say a word, just nodded and turned. Inside the restroom, I changed into the shirt. Standing under fluorescent lighting, I looked at myself in the mirror. Baby stretched awkwardly across my chest, the letters puckered over fabric that didn't quite fit right. Too snug, too wrong. I touched the stitching, not because it was beautiful, but because it reminded me exactly where I stood. This shirt doesn't say who I am. It says how they still see me. Later that afternoon, we visited a small local market down the road from the resort. Touristy stuff, shell necklaces, wooden carved turtles, the kind of stuff people buy and never look at again. My mother lingered at a stall offering handmade bracelets. "I'll get us all matching ones," she said, like it was a gift, like it was bonding. Everyone picked theirs up one by one. Their names were neatly engraved into the soft leather bands. When she handed me mine, it read, "Baby." "I couldn't think of anything else," she said. "You've always been our baby girl." I didn't argue, didn't make a scene. I just smiled with my lips and tucked the bracelet into my bag. No one noticed I never wore it. They say it like affection. I hear it as erasure. That night, I skipped the family luau, texted the group that I had a headache. No one came to check on me. I sat on the balcony outside my room, legs tucked under me, watching the tiki torches flicker against the trees. It should have been peaceful, but my head kept replaying the day, shirt, bracelet, the way Celeste's laugh sounded louder when I didn't respond. I opened the Notes app on my phone again. Pattern established, name withheld equal role denied, playing along equals complicit. I scrolled back up and added that to the top of the list I started yesterday. Then I added new entries. Shirt, no name, bracelet, baby, activity, credit, never mentioned booking email, not included. I wasn't angry the way people think anger looks. There was no shouting, no door slamming, just something quiet curling inside me, tightening, holding firm. I wasn't planning revenge, but I was done pretending. They called it a casual family afternoon, which, in our house, meant performative gift-giving and selective affection. We gathered out on the villa patio, the kind with fake tiki torches and too many folding chairs. Celeste had her sunglasses pushed back on her head like she was ready for a photo op at any moment. Judah was already nursing a second drink. The exchange was mostly symbolic. No one really cared what they were handing each other. It was more about being seen handing something. My mom had gift bags lined up, each tied with twine and a handwritten tag. When she reached the last one, her smile grew wide as she turned to Celeste. "Something elegant," she said, holding out a slim black box. "Celeste deserves it." Celeste opened it, gasped with just the right amount of drama, and pulled out a silver bracelet. Not just any bracelet. I knew it instantly. The weight, the clasp, the engraving on the underside. It was the same one I'd given my mom for her birthday last year. Handmade. Cost me more than I should have spent. She'd cried when I gave it to her, told me it meant more than words. Now it was being re-gifted. To Celeste. I didn't say a word. The group clapped. Judah raised his cup. My mother beamed. I didn't even fake a smile this time. I walked back inside without an explanation. The villa's bathroom smelled like lemon cleaner and expensive soaps. I turned on the faucet, cupped water in my hands, and threw it against my face. Not to cry, just to stop the wave rising in my chest. No one followed. No one even knocked. I dried my hands, straightened my back, and stepped back out into the late afternoon sun like nothing happened. Later, at the beachfront cookout, I kept myself busy. I arranged the fruit platters, helped the staff with the grill setup. I didn't sit with the rest of them. I didn't want to hear another story about Celeste's new home remodel or my mom's gluten-free pie. Millie found me instead. She was sitting on the cooler beside me, swinging her legs, 9 years old, juice box in hand. "Are you our real aunt?" she asked, totally casual. I looked at her. "Of course I am. Why would you ask that?" She shrugged. "Mommy said you weren't really part of the family, that you kind of float around." The sting wasn't sharp, it was slow, spreading. I nodded like I was okay. I float, huh? Yeah, and she said you live really far and don't have kids, so you just do your own thing." I didn't answer. My throat was dry, my stomach hollow. Millie reached into her bag for another juice, unaware of the fracture she'd just caused. That was the moment it shifted, not the betrayal, not the lies, but the ease with which they passed their narrative down to a child, and how easily that child absorbed it as truth. I stayed at the fire later, long after most had wandered back to their rooms. The staff packed up. The torches dimmed. I sat staring at the coals. Not crying. Just absent. I replayed everything. Not just today or yesterday, but years. The wedding slideshow I wasn't in. The Thanksgiving table I set but didn't sit at. The family newsletter Celeste once sent out that mentioned everyone but me. I pulled out my phone, opened the gallery, found the photo of the bracelet, the one I'd taken last year, the night I wrapped it for my mom. I created a new album, named it Unreturned Investments. That photo went first. I didn't plan to confront anyone, but I did plan to remember. Back in my room, I sat on the floor with my laptop open. Quiet, deliberate. I started listing every major financial or emotional gift I'd given over the last decade, who it went to, what they said when I gave it, what I never got back. This wasn't revenge, this was record-keeping. "If they're going to rewrite history," I muttered aloud, "I'm going to keep the receipts." The list grew quickly. Some of it I'd forgotten, until now. Each line was like reclaiming a piece of myself they'd borrowed too long. I didn't send it, didn't warn them. I didn't need to. But I did feel it. That moment when something inside me stood up straighter. I came down late on purpose, just enough to miss the initial chaos. The kind of morning where my presence wouldn't shift anything, but might still be noticed, at least by whoever cared enough to notice. They were already halfway through their breakfast when I arrived at the cafe. Judah nodded toward the open chair next to him. No one paused to greet me. No space was made. I sat quietly. Coffee was already being poured. Celeste was recapping something about a client meeting she had over Zoom from the resort, while Lorena, my mother, topped her toast with marmalade like it was a delicacy. "You've been so distant this trip," she said, not even looking up from her plate. "You could at least try to blend in." There it was. The flip. I'd been avoiding confrontation, keeping quiet to keep peace, but now silence had become the crime. Celeste laughed lightly. "It's the vibe, Cass. When someone's down, it just pulls the whole group energy down." I looked at my plate. "I'm just tired," I said. And I was. Tired in a way that sleep couldn't fix. Tired of being blamed for not clapping at the same tempo as the family drum. By lunchtime, we were out by the pool cabanas. Celeste had somehow arranged pizza and cocktails. Judah was lounging with sunglasses on, feet up like he owned the place. The kids were splashing nearby. I wasn't hungry. I picked at a small salad, something light that wouldn't make me feel worse in the heat. 3 pizzas arrived: garlic knots, sangria, laughter, chatter. And then, as if on cue, Judah leaned over his plate and said, "We'll split it 6 ways. Comes to about $42 each." I looked around. No one hesitated. Celeste was on her phone. Lorena already had her wallet out. I cleared my throat. "I only had the salad." My mother didn't skip a beat. "Don't make this about money, sweetheart. You're the generous one." Right. That line again. The one that turned my giving into expectation. That framed my boundaries as greed. They've mistaken my silence for permission. Again, I paid. No protest, no drama. But I felt something in me snap. Not loud, not even painful. Just a clean, quiet break. Back in college, Judah lost his job and couldn't pay rent. I covered 2 months for him. No one asked me to. I just did. Christmas 2018. I spent $400 on thoughtful gifts. Books I knew they'd love, customized mugs, a framed photo of me and Dad from our fishing trip when I was 10. I got socks. They always called me independent. That word came with a price tag. "You've always had it together," my mother would say. "We knew you didn't need help." But independence, in their eyes, meant immunity. Immunity from being included, from being defended, from being seen. Being the strong one just made them comfortable, ignoring my limits. I didn't turn on the TV when I got back to my room. I opened my laptop, created a spreadsheet. 2020, present, transfers, gifts. I started with the big ones: emergency plane ticket for Celeste's kid when he got sick, cash to help Judah move out of his apartment, groceries for my parents during lockdown. Then the smaller ones: meal tabs, subscriptions I kept forgetting to cancel that they still used, Venmo logs, emails, digital receipts, all there. Line after line. Under each one, I wrote, "No thank you, no payback, no inclusion." The total grew fast. When I saw the number, $34,890, I sat back in my chair, breathed, not a sigh, not exhaustion, just clarity. I didn't want the money back, but I needed to remember I gave it. If they won't remember what I gave, I will. I picked up my phone, typed in the Notes app. You can be kind without being expendable. You can be giving without being erased. Husband's new wife locked my daughter in basement on Thanksgiving. I kicked her out 30 min later. Has strong emotional stakes and natural virality. If you'd like, I can. Break it into a 9-chapter outline, DTA, following your standard. Analyze it structurally for emotional pacing and retention. Start writing. Chapter 1 immediately. Just let me know your next command. For example, type Viet Dan E DTA Chapter 1 or Hai Viet Chapter 1, and I'll begin. The room was dim, the kind of lighting meant to soothe. One of those mid-trip recap mornings the resort planned to make people feel closer than they were. The slideshow was already looping when I slipped into the back row. The lounge smelled faintly of pineapple and burnt coffee. No one from my family noticed me come in. Photo after photo flashed on the screen. Celeste posing in a hammock, Judah with a snorkel mask on, Lorena holding someone's baby, the kids chasing seagulls. Even a few of the resort staff made it into the reel, smiling beside cocktails or handing out towels. I waited, watched, not one frame of me. A staff member passed behind me, leaned toward another guest and said, "She must be the group's coordinator or something. She's always the one helping out." I didn't correct him, just looked at my reflection in the glass window behind the screen. Faded, blurred, outlined by a tropical frame I paid for, yet somehow didn't fit in. After the slideshow ended, I followed the others outside to the concierge area where the family was gathering to register for a sunset boat tour. I stood near the edge, reading the tour description on the brochure. The coordinator asked, "Who's Cassie? I don't see that name under any rooms or packages." Before I could speak, Celeste chirped, "Oh, she's with us. Just forgot to include her." She laughed like it was charming. I stepped back, pulled up my phone, Opened the original confirmation emails I'd sent Lorena weeks before. Each deposit, each booking, every add-on I'd paid for in advance. All of it tied to my account. But when processed, each entry was registered under Celeste's or Lorena's name. For simplicity, I closed the app without saying a word. The system confirmed what the family had been saying in whispers for years. I didn't exist. Not really. We were lining up for the tour when the captain requested ID for everyone over 18. I reached for my bag and stopped. No passport. I paused, looked through each pocket. Nothing. I remembered. Day 2, my mom had asked for it. To put in the hotel safe, she said. So you don't lose it, she'd smiled. Now, 5 days later, I was expected to board a boat in a foreign country without identification because someone else decided I didn't need control over my own documents. I turned to her. Mom, do you have my passport? Lorena blinked. Oh, I left it in the room safe. Didn't think you'd need it for this. Didn't think. Didn't ask. Didn't care. The captain glanced at me. I must have looked calm enough because he waved it off. You're good, he said. We'll skip it this time. I nodded, stepped onto the boat, didn't speak for the rest of the ride. That night, I returned to my room, my own room, booked under my name, paid with my card, and sat at the desk with the sliding door open. I opened a new Google Doc. Titled it, The Ghost Guest Report. I began listing, no seat at welcome dinner shirt labeled baby bracelet regifted, pizza bill split 6 ways, tour booking under someone else's name, passport withheld, mistaken for resort staff. For each entry, I added 3 lines, what happened, what they said, what I didn't say, but should have. The list wasn't for them, it wasn't a confrontation, it was an archive. I saved the file, encrypted it, sent a copy to myself with the subject, this happened. Then I opened the family group chat, typed, please do not use my name or information for any future bookings. I will manage my own plans. It was read almost instantly. Celeste replied first. Chill, why are you acting like a guest? I stared at the screen for a long moment, then typed, because that's all I've been to you. An invisible one, at that. No one answered. I turned off notifications, turned off the lights, left the window open. The call came just before I finished packing. I was folding my jeans when the front desk rang. Miss Riggs, we just wanted to confirm you've checked out. Your reservation was closed earlier this morning, per request from a family member. I paused. Who requested it? The man on the line hesitated. It says, Celeste Sloan. Of course it did. I didn't raise my voice. I thanked him, hung up, and zipped my suitcase. 10 minutes later, I stood at the front desk asking for my check-in history. The manager pulled it up, glanced nervously, then whispered something to a colleague. He returned with a printed log showing my name removed at 8:06 a.m. System confusion, he said. I didn't argue, just nodded, requested a copy, and walked out. No texts, no calls, no one wondering where I was. I wheeled my bag to the resort cafe and found a quiet corner. Ordered black coffee, pulled out my laptop, sat down. Across the courtyard, the family was gathered for brunch. Matching shirts, more staged photos. Celeste was laughing, phone in hand, snapping a group selfie. A few minutes later, I got the notification, an Instagram story. Everyone made it home safe. What a trip! Everyone, except me. I scrolled for a second, then stopped, opened my credit card account instead. Then my email, my notes, Venmo, PayPal, hotel confirmations. Millie's text popped up. Aunt Kay, you weren't in the group pic. Where did you go? I stared at the screen for a second longer, then opened my draft folder. The receipt for everything. PDF format, organized, clear, travel, food, emergency loans, gifts, unused credits, total, $37,420. Next tab, screenshots, each transaction with timestamps and recipients. Cross-referenced, labeled, no emotion, just data. At that moment, a new message came in, from Shay. Just so you know, this email's going around. Attached was a forwarded chain from Celeste, sent to our extended relatives. Cassie's been unstable. We've tried to support her, but she's made things up. Please be kind if she acts out. It was polite, well-worded, poison dressed as compassion. I didn't flinch, just scrolled to the end of my PDF and added one more section. False mental health claims. No diagnosis, no hospital records, no medication history, only consistent, documented financial support to every name included in this trip. I added a watermark across the bottom of the page. Confidential, do not gaslight me. Once done, I exported the file, renamed it. Then I opened my email. To Celeste, Lorena, Judah. CC, entire Sloan family. Subject: this is what support looked like, just so no one forgets. Body: no accusations, just facts. Attached is the complete record of what I gave, what was used, and what was dismissed. This is not for confrontation. It is for clarity. Please remove my name from any future plans. I will not fund my own invisibility. Send. I sat back. Close the screen. 10 minutes later, a reply came in from my Aunt Meredith. I'm sorry, Cassie. I should have seen it sooner. Then silence. Then Celeste. 3 words. You've changed, Cass. No kidding. I uploaded the final version of the file to the cloud. Archive name, Freedom, notarized. Then I walked out to the balcony, phone in hand, opened the group chat thread, deleted it, one by one, block by block. When the last name disappeared, I sat in the chair, legs tucked underneath me, and stared out at the horizon. This time, I wasn't asking to be seen. This time, I was returning to myself. Coming home didn't feel like coming back to anything. There was no big shift, no moment of release as I opened the door to my small apartment. Just quiet. The kind of quiet I used to fill with apology, now filled with something steadier, myself. I unpacked slowly, not from exhaustion, but choice. Each item folded and placed back where it belonged. I took the USB from my laptop, the one with the PDF file, the one I named the receipt for everything, and placed it inside my safe, locked it, not to hide it, just to close it. A stack of mail sat untouched on my counter. Bills, catalogs. One postcard from Shay with a sketch of a lighthouse on it. She had drawn a small note at the bottom. Sometimes lighthouses shine for themselves. On my fridge was the magnet I bought years ago and almost threw away after Thanksgiving 2019. It read, "Sometimes silence is protection, not weakness." I stood there a moment, just breathing. My phone buzzed. Message from Celeste. Hope you're doing better. Let's not let things get out of hand. Family's family. Another from my mom. I still think you misunderstood everything, but I hope we can talk someday. I didn't reply. I forwarded both to my therapist under the subject line. No response needed. I thought about it, then deleted the thread. Blocked the numbers. Closure doesn't always come with a bow. Sometimes it's just finally choosing not to reopen the door. A few weeks passed. I invited Shay over for dinner, along with 2 co-workers I trusted, my next-door neighbor and my yoga teacher. No big announcement, no agenda, just food and space. On the table were 6 white napkins, plain, soft cotton, no names embroidered, no labels. One guest picked one up and said, "These are beautiful, so simple." I smiled. Names can include or exclude. I chose simplicity. We laughed that night, really laughed. Not the kind I used to fake when Celeste said something on brand, but the kind where you don't feel like anyone's looking at you to respond the right way. After everyone left, I stayed behind and washed the dishes by hand, one by one, not because I had to, but because I could. Later that night, I opened my laptop and started typing. Not an email, not a confrontation, just a letter, addressed to no one. I used to believe love meant tolerance, I wrote, but love without respect is charity, and generosity without boundaries is slow suicide. I listed lessons, not their offenses, mine, how silence gave them power, how clarity gave me back mine. I titled it, "For Me, Not Them," and closed the lid. In my bedroom drawer, Tucked beneath a stack of scarves, I found the old bracelet, the one labeled baby. For a moment, I considered tossing it, but instead, I brought it to a local silversmith and had it melted down. The new ring was simple, clean. Inside the band, one word, enough. It wasn't a protest. It was proof. I wear it now, not every day, but when I feel that tug, that reflex to shrink myself just to keep others comfortable. Somewhere along the way, I stopped asking for their space at the table and started building my own. You might have been that person too, the one who gives and still finds themselves sitting outside the frame. I hope you know, you were never the issue. They just needed you to believe you were. That night, I turned off the lights in my apartment, walked past the mirror, didn't flinch. I opened the balcony door, let the wind roll in. Same breeze, new meaning. Some stories don't end with reunions, they end with reclamation. And if they ever do show up at my door, I'll offer them a seat, but I won't give them mine.